Hi there, you are tuned into Beauty and Braids, the podcast where I, Karen Tenard, has conversations about all things relevant to personal growth and development. Just a heads up, I'm unfiltered. You're welcome. Hey guys, this is going to be a funny one. I'm back with another conversation with another amazing individual, but listen, it was hard to do. Our schedules wasn't linking, and then when we finally got everything together, the universe was preventing it from happening. Like, we were sending out, I was sending out a link, and she wasn't getting it. Then she was everything else that I was writing to her, but not the link. I was like, what is happening? So I'm just going to hurry up and introduce Karmia Berry. She's an amazing actress, philanthropist, and I believe I'm missing something.
Like, what else is she? Oh my gosh,
right?
I know. I'm a Renaissance woman, so I am like in truest form. So yes, the actress, the philanthropist, the clinician, right? The entrepreneur, my goodness. Yeah, all those things that I'm like, how did I get here?
Listen, and it is amazing because it's like you don't live in a box. You just enjoy life and pursue your heart's desires, and you do it with like such grace. Like, you just be like, I'm gonna do that. And I'll be like, oh shoot.
Thank you. Queen, thank you. Karen, you always, I appreciate the love that you give and you show, not that you're just showing right now, but just, the love and the support and good energy and vibes that you give to all the queens out there, Black queens like you, my dear, deserve your flowers for just your platform and what you're doing. So thank you so much for having me. It takes a very selfless, individual to do what you're doing, and to celebrate people in such a way. So I appreciate you. Thank you very much.
Stop! Don't try to make this about me.
It's true. This is about you. It's true.
Well, thank you. But okay, can we breathe? Like, we finally got this conversation going.
Yes.
Like, I swear, I was like, oh my God, we're gonna have this conversation. I don't care if the spirit, whatever entities stop this conversation, it must be really good.
Has to be.
Whatever we're about to say, it is like,
has to be.
I just did.
So yes, we got to take a breath. Let's breathe for a second, because
yes. Stop. Okay, so first, let's introduce. I'm gonna tell the world how I met you. Okay, so, me being the person that I am, I like to dib and dab. I had through high school, I went through performing arts, and I always liked acting. Well, I thought I was just acting, but I was really talking to myself in the mirror a lot, and doing different scenarios with what that person might say and this person might say and this one, and when she says that, doing a whole conversation, and it never happened, but just in case, I was always prepared for whatever twist the plot it went. So now one of my homeboys, his name is Spencer on the show. I drew a blank just now for his name. I'm like, yes, K-Mel.
Shout out to K-Mel Goffin. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm like, wait, how did I just get? So we go to church together. Well, we used to, because everything is shut down. So, and he was in the show, and I was like, oh, let me start watching it. And I'm like, oh my God, I love this show. And then there was a casting for extras, and I was like, you know what?
let me just go on and get in here, right?
Yeah, I'm like, let me go, and I went, and it was just funny because all I had to do was just act like I'm partying. Mm-hmm. I had no lines, but I made it my own. I was like, I'm gonna party, people gonna notice me, even though if I'm an extra, they gonna see me.
Party girl number one. That's me right here. Y'all gonna see me in these credits and this. Get my my part. You gonna do it. I feel you.
Exact. But I didn't meet you
I
there. It was
know.
when we did when the launch or the reveal of the BET
Yes.
once it was picked up, and Bryce on the show, who is
Emilio. Shout out
Emilio,
to Emilio.
he
Yes.
he was there to see it first, and then he cameoed the shot with me in it, and he was in it like, and it was like slow motion. I was like, I'm in it. Look at me.
Look at
And I just was,
me.
from then on, I didn't care. Anybody told me I was an extra. I was like, I had a part.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Listen, claim that for real. Absolutely.
Yeah. And then seeing you at the event, it was still like I didn't really see you or know you. It was just that we took pictures together, and then it was like, oh, send me that picture, and then send that picture. Here's these pictures,
Yes.
and then that's how we kind of
We
like
connected,
clicked.
collect from there. Yes. No, that was a great night. And shout out to Eric Dickens, the writer and director of Makeup
Yes.
and Breakup, and everybody who worked on the show, cast and crew. Definitely, 3 seasons strong. First 2 seasons on YouTube. Last season got picked up on BET Her. So definitely, to everybody who was a part of it, it was a show that was highly talked about, highly appreciated, and I'm sad that it's over. So
Right. I was there like, is it going to be a second thing? Oh, sorry for all the noise in the background. It's just, but if I was just like, dang, are they going to bring somebody back,
I
like,
know.
or do like a
I
spinoff? But
know. I know. All the
you
possibilities. He
know,
created it so that a possible spinoff could happen or could have happened. But who knows? Who knows?
right?
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. It was a lot. Okay, so you played Laura, who
Yes.
was married to Spencer.
Yes.
Then you had, I don't know if y'all went through the whole divorce, but then you end up dating your best friend, who was like always there. But I don't think it really clicked. I don't think y'all really had like that chemistry.
You know what? It's so interesting that you say that. So yes, I was on the show. Laura, she was married to Spencer. They did go through some trials and tribulations within their marriage. For those who haven't seen it, so I don't want to give it away. So
Oh, okay,
too
yeah,
much. However, this is great for juicy content, right? So people may want to go see it
right.
anyway. Which you should go see. It's still available online. Um, and then yes, she ended up connecting with her one of her childhood friends, and that story turned out the way it did. And so it is something that a lot of people, I will be honest with you, when relating to my character, to Laura, it was like half and
Hmm.
half. I would have people come up to me and they would say, married women, and they would say, I love Laura. I can relate to her, like the way you just stand up to your husband, and the way he's treating you. And they were people who were really in favor, and they took to Laura, they cried with Laura. I didn't realize that my character was having that impact on women.
Hmm.
Like, you just don't know, like, you're doing the work, you're in it, but when you hear and you receive from someone that's like, no, like, you had me all the way, like, tuned in. I'm with you. I'm following you. I'm inspired by your character just because of what I see in my own relationship, and how Laura, in the end, felt empowered, and took a stand for herself and what she believed what love should look like. And that is the relationship with Kyle, that later on takes place, which again, people go check out Makeup and Breakup, is online. Um, but I did
Hmm.
have women also who hated Laura. They hated her. These were, I mean, no shame or shade, but these were women who, had love for somebody
Who
who
was
was
married?
married, or like somebody got in the way of their relationship. Yeah. And I'm like, well, I can see what this is about here. It was just so interesting. The people, like, I mean, never to my face. It was on like the comment section in YouTube, or like the comment section on Instagram. The people be like, Laura just needs to back up. Like, she needs to let Spencer just be. Don't she know Spencer don't want her? And I'm like, I know the type of female you are. Okay. You
Right.
trifling. So, you know what I mean? So, um,
Hmm.
but again, to each his own. To each his own. It was the side chicks, that were screaming real loud, like, Laura needs to know her place, honey. He don't want you,
Right.
like. And I'm like, dang. It's tough.
right. But it was just like he was. The thing is, Spencer for me was just living in the past. Like he was remembering, um, girl, I'm the one that he was with.
Yes, yes,
He was remembering her from where she used to be
yes,
and what, like that imaginary bubble of who he used to be and who she used to be,
yeah,
and not realizing that they're grown and they're not the same and they have different
yeah,
dreams. um, Laura was his
yeah,
present, and he didn't get
yeah,
that. He got that too late.
yeah. All great.
So yes, I could see from both sides, Laura and the other
Of
person,
course.
because I was the Laura, and I was like, look, you gonna go or not? Because I ain't got no time for this.
Right.
And then and then it was like switch out of nowhere. I'm like, yo, like who's this
Right.
person? Like, so,
Right. No,
like when you're like, why?
absolutely. Absolutely. And it is understandable. I mean, in the case between the three, I will just say, before we met Kyle, there are women that would say, you know what, Laura needs to step back. And because of what was said throughout the project, the relationship that Spencer had with his past, and it really does make you question, like, was this all by mistake? Did you only do this because, for whatever the reasons are, because this happened within our relationship because of religion, because you wanted to be a good man at the time, but you
Mm-hmm.
really didn't have I really didn't have your heart. Laura didn't really have your heart. It belonged someplace else. um so there's so many different reasons and ways of how I think on both sides that women felt that they could relate to Laura, but also they felt that Laura needed to step back. But and moving forward, yeah, some people did feel even and I think that's the thing about love and relationships, and what I loved about just makeup and breakup. Like, at the end of the day, when you tell your girlfriends what you're dealing with, what you're going through, obviously your girlfriends always want the best for you, right? But
Right.
they're not in the room with you. They're not in the bed with you. They're not there with you, during the ups and the downs. They most of the time the girlfriends really just hear like the bad stuff that's going on with your relationship, when you're venting to
Mm-hmm.
them. So a lot of people actually, in the end, despite all that Spencer and Laura went through, no matter how happy, Laura, her character, and Kyle, their love, and how long from history that they had, people still want to see Laura and Spencer together. Despite all of it, because they were like, true love is true love, make it work. There's a child involved, you know. So it was interesting. It was an interesting dynamic. It was a few things that were being said. People were happy that Laura found love because she deserved it. People were like, no, stick with what it is. Y'all need to make it work. And then women were like, Laura, step back. This is not for you. Let Spencer go. He's not yours.
Right.
So yeah.
Right. It was just kind of like, and then it's that thing where it's like, um, nothing worth having is,
Yes.
easy. Like you have to fight for it. And then I don't know. It just was like with Kyle, being thrown in the
Yes.
mix. Like, I'm here now, and it's just kind of like for me to try to like now date a friend is
Okay.
weird, right? Because you're like you don't see them like that, and then you're like the transition, right? It
Ah.
was
So you don't think, I think sometimes they say like the best relationships are the ones when you are dating your best friend, or you're dating those longtime friends, because the foundation of the relationship, come hell or high water, when you're fighting, through thick and thin, better or worse, the fact that you have that friendship foundation that really is like, do I want to perhaps lose or risk losing my friend, not somebody who I'm just physically attracted to. The intimacy on all levels is great, I'm saying, emotionally, sexually, physically, all of that. But when it really gets
Mhm.
down to, sticking by somebody when we grow old together, if you have that friendship foundation, I think that that's what we're learning really matters in the end. Because there's so many options out there in the world, and dating in New York is hard.
Oh
So,
God.
you know what I mean? So if you can marry your friend, all right, then I think that you're in a good place. I mean, I'm just, yes, but I
Right.
hear you.
It
But I
okay.
understand what you're saying.
It's just right because I'm like, hmm. For the guys, I feel like it's
Oh
easy
yeah.
for them to date their friend. They'd be like, oh, she's good. She's good looking. Like she's everything. She's the she's the homie, she's all of
Mm-hmm.
that. Like they've been probably plotting that in their head from the, you know, the first laugh, and it's like, yo, she mad cool, like, and then, but the female is like, oh, I finally found a man that I could really hang out with
Yeah.
and not be thinking about the sexual
Mm-hmm.
part of it, and you just like, this is my brother, my best friend, but they like, just give me a chance. Like I
That's how
feel
you
like,
feel. Okay. Okay. I think it's a little bit of both of that for sure. I think that, depending on where you are in age, I think I'm also in a place now where I am not trying to get rid of my male friends. I went to an
right,
HBCU, so I have a lot of, like, my circle is big in regards to just, people that I went to college with. And a lot of those people are guys. And so, and I appreciate having these healthy, like, platonic male relationships. Every single guy friend that I have, I don't want there to be an interest, you know what I mean? Because
right,
I mean, I would like to be married at some point, and then when I get married, I don't want to, like, not have any more guy friends because everybody was interested in me. So it really is important for me to have those platonic, strong platonic male relationships, those friendships. Because those are great friendships too. I mean, I go to my boys about some stuff regarding men, like, yo, why y'all be acting up? Talk to
exactly. You
me.
need somebody to have that conversation, and then you'd be like, oh, okay, he tripped. I'm the one tripping. Okay, hold on, let me, fix that up and stuff like that. So it's really good to have that, and for your boys or your homies to know your
Right.
mate, right? Where it's like that respect, um, to get along with them, or even if it's not like
That's
chummy,
important.
but it would.
That's important. For me, it's important.
Uh,
I agree. Yes,
For me
I
too.
agree. I absolutely.
It's like we want to hang out. Like, oh, I don't like your friends. Like, why
Right.
you
And
don't
that's
like my?
me. I'm so big on that. I'm such a socialite, which before COVID, I love bringing people together. So that's one thing that, like, I'll combine my groups, like my church friends, my Hampton, HBCU friends, my high school friends, the few that I still have left, because there ain't that many of them left over. I'm just saying, like my work friends, my actor friends, like everybody, I am cultured, whomever. I always like to bring people together. I'm very big on that. So of course, like, same thing when it comes to, like, my guy. Like, I want my guy to be able, hopefully to click with, the people in my crew. You know what I mean? Like, y'all ain't got to be buddy buddy,
I
but
get it.
everybody needs to know everybody. I would like that. That's
Right.
my thing. I mean, y'all ain't got to exchange phone numbers and Instagrams, but at least know each other. So
Right. Be
yeah.
comfortable with each other, because one day y'all gonna know. So okay, so now that we're talking about, bringing people together and everything like that, I started, following your social media, and we basically exchange social medias, and I'm like, this girl also have a nonprofit. What the hell? Like, I'm like, she is giving back. And of course, your organization is called I
Yes.
Am Cultured, INC,
Mm-hmm.
or Inc. So tell me a little bit of that. Well, why that brought out, like, stuck out to me, because I'm like, I have a nonprofit too. So I was just like, oh my
Yes.
God, she's like in my whole head, like she's on the same page, wavelengths.
I love
Okay,
it.
so tell me about I
Yes, so
Am
I Am
Culture.
Cultured. It is a registered nonprofit organization that promotes self empowerment and an appreciation for cultural richness and diversity by supporting high school students, specifically youth of color in the tri state area, through socially, intellectually, through international travel, professional development workshops, mentorship, and community service. We also aim to
Mm,
challenge social norms by rediscovering what it means to be cultured. So, I Am Cultured is more than just, like, the name. It's also an acronym. I am confident, unique, leading, tenacious, unstoppable, regal, educated, and daring. Um, yeah, so
nice.
it started off as a summer travel program, which then ended up extending into, like, a year-round mentorship programming for young people, youth of color, because there's a need that is as clearly there, and for so many reasons. But I mean, I can speak to the travel piece of it first, but mentorship is just so important, and preparing the next generation, our leaders, especially with all that's going on now, what's being revealed now. Like, I feel like our young people have had to step up in ways that when we were 15, 16 years old, like that, it was our responsibility to do these things. And so, you know what I mean? Like we were
Nope.
able to play outside and, you know, play video games and watch TGIF. And I'm giving away my age now, but okay,
Oh no,
you know what
yes,
I mean?
TGI.
Like that
Okay.
was the highlights, you know? And now you have these young people who are speaking out and they're stepping up and they're going out and they're protesting and they're trying to fight to, you know, for their voting rights where they can vote at, you know, at 16 years old versus 18 years old. Like these young people are
Right.
really, it's a different time. And so it's like, why not better prepare them when mentorship has always been ideal and necessary, but now more than ever, like let's get our, you know, our mentors in place to prepare these young people who are showing us that they're ready. Like we want to be like developed, like we want to be able to take this
Yes.
on, you know. And then for those who may not be able to express it but they have a place somewhere, that is where I am cultured comes in, because sometimes due to lack of information, resource, you know, finance, you know, financial support, these young people, exactly,
Exposure.
exposure, these people, you know, these young people, they don't know what's out there and what's available to them, right? Or maybe because they're not the ones that pay attention in the classroom because maybe they're bored or whatever. I'm not even trying to label, because you know they're so quick to put IEPs in our kids and these behavioral problems. Like sometimes it really just takes
Mm-hmm.
someone to connect with a young person to say, I believe in you, I see you, I need you to see yourself, but I got your back, you know.
Yep.
And that is what I am cultured is about. It's about seeing each of these young people that are willing, because I'll meet you halfway, you know. We're not going to drag nobody. I will meet you where you're at, and just say like, you know, we have what it is that you need to better support where it is that you're trying to go. And we're going to do that through exposure of international travel in these development workshops. You know, we're going to check in on your mental wellness because that's important. We're going to get you ready for, you know, college and for
Very.
your career choices, all of these things. But again, the biggest piece of it is the travel portion of it. And I can speak to, you know, how that got started, but I didn't know if you had another question. I'm sorry. I just
Oh,
get so passionate
okay.
about it. I just keep going. I'm sorry.
No, I'm there. They're like, I'm holding my head like, yeah, girl. But but from acting, which came first, acting or your
So
nonprofit?
so it's so
Like,
acting, and so acting and travel were at the same time, but the nonprofit obviously it well, not obviously, but the nonprofit came later. Yeah.
and like, what was the transition like during your travel? Did you notice something and you just felt like you need to make the you
Yeah,
know,
so I am an avid traveler. I've been traveling since I was 6 months old. That is just that's a part of my story.
mm,
That's how I tell it, like how I am cultured got started. It was because I was that young person exposed to travel. At 1 years old, I went to Abidjan, the Ivory Coast, you know, Ivory Coast in Africa. So it's just my summer
wow.
vacations, my school breaks were always on a plane traveling abroad. It's just how my parents chose to spend their money versus, you know, paying to keep up with the Joneses, or, you know, we had nice things. I'm not saying that everything else around us didn't look up to, you know, up to par, but it was, we're going to put our money investments into these experiences and exposure of travel. But again, growing up, I'm an only child, so I didn't realize the difference between myself and other people. I just felt like this is just how we chose to do things. And my friends chose to go to summer
Mhm.
camps and, you know, or go to their grandparents' house, you know, for the summer, or, you know, everybody had their different thing that they did growing up. And it wasn't until I was 11 years old, I was in a for-profit organization where I traveled with young people my age. It was 500 of us, and I went to Australia and New Zealand. This was without my parents. We had obviously chaperones, adults, but it was 500 kids. But it's a lot.
That's
It's
a
a lot.
lot.
And I was one of two young people of color, and yes,
What?
amongst 500 young people.
Oh
And
no.
so growing up, I went to private school for the early part of my childhood education. My first best friend, honestly, she was Caucasian, and I had an
Mhm.
Asian best friend, and then I had my Hispanic best friend. So that was the group, right? So again, I didn't think much of
Mhm.
it at 11 years old. Like, why, you know, it's just you and I here. Like, it's just us, and everybody loved us. There was no hate. there's no discrimination, at least that I can remember, or, or I didn't feel isolated, except for the fact that the isolation was, we are the only two people here of color. I remember from that time that there wasn't much mentorship that followed. There wasn't a lot of prep regarding travel. Thankfully, because I had traveled previously, this was nothing new. It was just like, oh, this is just a different experience with a different group of people. And I get to do it without my mom and without my dad. That's cool. Right. But there was nothing more
Right.
after that. It was an experience. I can speak about it today at my age. So as I got older and I went off to college, and I'm speaking to my friends that are saying that, I'm telling them, oh yeah, I travel here and I go there and I'm doing this summer. And they're like, wow, you've been doing this for so long. And I'm like, yeah. And then they're telling me that they haven't started traveling until either college or even later on. My friends that said, Karmia, I haven't actually started traveling until after college. I realized that when it comes to representation and Black and brown people and travel, you're not seeing a lot of that. I mean, now with social media and
No.
all the travel influencers, yes, you're seeing it, but you're seeing adults, right? Which is great. I'm trying to, and we know why travel matters. We know what travel does for us. We know what it does for us socially. We know what it does for us, psychologically, our mental wellness. We know what it does for us intellectually, right? The knowledge that we're getting when we do these excursions, depending on how you travel. So if we know that in our 20s and
Right.
in our 30s and in our 40s, why are we not giving that to teens? So, but we are giving it to teens, but we're giving it at expensive prices, right? Because travel is expensive, but for the for
Very.
profits, we're tacking on a couple of more dollars, thousands of dollars, right? Because it's a business, and we're going to provide this opportunity, and we know what it's going to do to shape these young people, but you may only have one person of color in that group that gets that opportunity. That to me is a problem. And so that's where I am cultured, when I realize all of that, and I'm looking at all of that, and I'm realizing what it did for me and how I was fortunate. But I was fortunate because that's just how, again, my parents chose to spend their money, right? And because thankfully we had it to do so, but we lacked in other areas in order to do that, or maybe we didn't do certain things in order to be able to do that. I just want to be able to give that opportunity to young people who may never have the opportunity to travel because either their parents didn't travel, so they're not trying to do it, or again, lack of finances, or just opportunity and and
Right.
and the
And the
ambition, right?
ambition
And
is
because
just
it's
like,
just you're not seeing a lot of it out there. You're not seeing, when you Google, if you Google Black child on a beach, Black child travel, you're not going to see a lot of images. You're just not. So, and that's a problem,
yeah.
but if you just put travel, if you put in travel family photo, or just travel, women, whatever, you're going to see majority white people. And
Yeah, they
and
take their
we
kids with
travel
them.
too. Like Black people, we travel too.
We just don't.
Okay.
We travel, but a lot of families, what they do is they get a babysitter. They drop their kids off, and then
They
they travel
do. They
without their
do.
kids sometimes,
And they do. And
like
you know
most of
what?
the
And I will
time.
say that there are barriers to travel, finances being one of them. Some people have stated, and this is in statistics. Some people have stated that they feel, well, my child won't remember a trip to Bali. So why would I take my child to Bali? And I get it, because it's expensive. The same reason why you would take your child to Disney World, the same reason why you would take your child to the park, the same reason why you would take your child to, Splish Splash, Great Adventure, whatever. Like, we take them to the zoo, right? Like, I understand that these are maybe not as expensive, outings, but you do it for the sake of the memories, the fun, the experience, what they're going to, what they learn from that time being out there. Like, that stuff sticks with us, you know? And so
It
it's like,
does.
I get it. There is a hefty price tag on travel, but you can't say my child won't remember when you take your child, your baby, to do other things. You know what I mean? It's about the exposure, the
Hmm.
experience. It gives perspective. I don't remember exactly what happened when I was in Abidjan, but I have photos to look back, and and that experience in itself is a part of me. I don't remember going to Disney World, so it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like, but I went. So I think it really is about just, again, giving that opportunity to those kids that may never be able to step outside and see. Like a lot of the young people that travel with I'm Cultured, we provide passports for them for first time travelers. We're walking them through what turbulence is going to
Wow.
feel like. We walk them through the whole how to pack a bag, going through TSA, like all these things that, again, my travel experience at 11 years old, they didn't prepare me for that. It was just like, hey, you better have a passport. You better show up at JFK on time. And yeah, we'll see you there. It's like, okay.
But the way that y'all break it down, that makes sense. And that's people don't know how to pack a bag or what time to get to an airport, where to go, who to ask questions, like weighing their bags and all that extra stuff. Like
The
what's
proper.
the proper things to travel to when you go into certain travel. Like not every place is gonna take the same
Exactly.
items, right? Like yeah, so I think what you're doing is amazing, and it does broaden out the things. The kids that I work with is
Okay.
13 and under. So like my whole concept was, let's start to mold them now and to give them resources or clothes that's going to build their confidence so they could feel
Mm.
like they can do anything. I think a lot of the kids, they get a certain age and they lose their dreams, their hopes, and stuff like that because of parents who can't afford, or their friends and family who, they haven't made
Mm-hmm.
it. So they don't think, it's just kind of like that. But if I started exposing them, now they're
That
like, I want to
that
be a
part.
model. I want to be a
That
designer,
part. Yep.
right?
Yep. It
It's like,
is.
start, because it's a community. Parents are not going, they're going to tell their kids, oh, be
Mm-hmm.
quiet, sit down, right? But somebody else outside of there who can see their potential, and they're like, this kid is a
Exactly.
genius. Like,
Pour
pour
into
into
these
this
kids.
kid.
Mm-hmm. And
And they
they
will
do
remember
remember
it.
it. And it does, like you said, it broadens their perspective. It broadens their horizons. It gives them the possibility that there is more to what is just within their four walls. If you never leave your room, if you never leave your borough, if you never leave New York, you don't know what else is out there. You don't know the possibilities that are
No.
available to you. And so when you expose somebody to something different or new, right? Then it clicks, something goes off
Mm-hmm.
in their head. That's the psyche. It goes off in their head, especially if they enjoyed themselves, right? If they took interest in it,
Right.
something goes off and they're like, how can I maintain this? Right? What do I need to do to upkeep
Mm-hmm.
this lifestyle? Whether it's in fashion, it's in travel, it's whatever, you know what I mean? Like, even, listen, let me tell you something. I'm like, I'm going off track, but I went to, this
No,
was
it's
years ago. I went
fine.
to a Beyonce concert with my best friend. And now I love Beyonce. Shout out to the Beehive. I'm not a part of the Beehive, but I do love Beyonce. And
Okay.
I remember because I have, I love other artists. And I remember my best friend saying to me that
Mm-hmm.
she's like, we have to get these tickets and we're paying, it was like 400 and something dollars, right? For these Beyonce tickets. And I was like,
Oh.
400 and something dollars. Okay. Beyonce. All right. Now, again, love Beyonce, but I'm like, okay, she's performing for like, what, 2.5 hours. Do I want to do it? Let me tell you, that was the best time of my life. And being that close to the stage, like, I was like, oh, we only sit close to the stage now, right? Like, so what is it? What is it that I need to do to be able to upkeep, right? Because it was an experience and I had a good time, right? And that's
Mm-hmm.
important. We work so hard. There are times when we have to be able to, we work hard, play harder. So I enjoyed that. My mother,
Mm-hmm.
growing up, like, and I say this on the humble, I was exposed to sitting in first class when I traveled internationally. I sat in the reclining seats. I travel, 6 hours and more. I'm sitting in the seats that recline, that turn into a bed. And that was as a child. So for me, you know,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, well, I'm loving this experience. I'm loving this way of travel. Now I love coach too. Don't get me wrong. I could do both. But the fact that, but listen, but if it's a long
But when it's
travel,
those
I'm
long
seeing if we
travels,
can get the
you're gonna
reclining
get
seats. I want the full service. But the fact is that, again, like I said, and with these young people, once you're exposed to something different and something new, and you like the way it feels, something clicks to say, how do I maintain this? And so my push from myself has been whether the Beyonce concert, you know, sitting courtside at an NBA game or flying first class. I was like, whatever I do in life, I need to make sure that I do it where I'm able to maintain a certain lifestyle, right? So for the young people, I say that, and I
Right.
say this in you know, doing it the right way. Let me just put that disclaimer out there. Doing it the right way. You know, wholesome way.
Mm-hmm.
Let me put that out there. But for these young people, when they are traveling abroad and they're on the plane and there's, you know, we stay in pretty nice hotels. It's not your 5 class, you know, stars, excuse me, hotels, but it's 4 stars, 5 stars. It's they're safe, they're comfortable, they're clean, they have a great time. They go
Mm-hmm.
back to school, they go back to their neighborhoods, and something for them is like, what do I need to do to get my grades right? Because I want to go to college, or I want to go to
Mm.
vocational school, because I want to be able to make enough money or be able to save enough money where I can continue to fly and travel the way I did and stay in these nice, clean, safe hotels because of what I am cultured has exposed me to. So even that part there, like, it's bigger than
Right.
just I'm traveling for 5 days, 7 days and getting out of Brooklyn or getting out of New York. They come back and they are motivated to get like their self in order. And we talk, you know, we're right there supporting them. We're with our kids for 2 years. We get them in the 10th grade and we're with them until they graduate. So now we're checking in and we're like, okay, so
Wow.
what do you need to tell guidance counselor such and such? What classes do you need to look into now? What tutor we need to get you connected with? Because if you want to continue traveling like this outside of I Am Cultured, we need to make sure that you're on the right track with your grades so that you can graduate, so that you can go to college or go to vocational school, so you can get that job and you can start saving your money. And we teach them about having like a travel, you know, savings account so that you can continue to do, you know, to live this lifestyle if you enjoy it, you know?
Shoot, I'm about to take this. I'm about
Right.
to
You
join.
have to
How
be
old do you have to be?
15. Right, if I could do it all over again. But yeah, but that's what it's all about.
No.
And to your point, like you said, with your nonprofit, it is about the experience and the exposure, broadening their horizons, letting them know that the possibilities are endless for them. You just got to tap in. You just got to tap in, and somebody
Right.
who's willing to say, I got you. I'm not gonna force you to do this. I'm not gonna push you, but I'm gonna meet you where you're at. I'll grab your hand and we can
Mm-hmm.
do this together. That's the way I see it. And I see that, you know, with the
Yeah.
work that you do, it's very much the same, which is why we have this synergy. This is why we connect.
That's what I'm saying. Like I was like, I don't even know. I'm like, it was just a photo. I don't know why I was in that photo because I was an
No,
extra.
girl, listen,
Like
you were
I
you
was
were a
just like,
part
I'm gonna
of
be
the
in this.
makeup and breakup cast. All right, let's just claim it and talk about what it is. There we go.
It was. Everybody was amazing. Like just warm, the energy. It was fun. I felt like I
Oh,
knew y'all forever, but I didn't meet everybody, and I just was there for that one scene.
yes, it
Which
does.
everything happens for a reason, right? You are placed in places because there's a connection or a lesson that needs to be had. And I was just like, whatever. Like, I'm going with the flow. I'm coming to this event. I'm gonna meet. So now with the whole nonprofit, then and then seeing you, and I'm there like,
Yeah,
what the hell happened to her leg? She got
yeah.
a cane. I'm like, you are walking around with the cane at the event. I'm there like, did she always have a cane? I had to go like look back into the show. I'm like, did she have a cane in the show?
Yeah.
Like you
Yes,
you hurt
yeah.
yourself.
So again,
Like,
like everything, you know, it's just interesting how things just happen and then how things continue to fall in line when it's meant for you, you know. And sometimes when you that
mm-hmm,
journey, it can be a bit cloudy and it's confusing and you know there's some pain throughout that as you are going along the journey, but things still somewhat happen to align. And so what happened to me, yes, so season one into season two, I was cane free. I was fine. You know, I had scenes where I'm walking, I had on heels, all of that. And coming into season three, in between the two seasons, I was involved in a hit and run car accident. Yeah, with a tractor trailer
wow.
out here in New York. And went through all of that, and I'm still on that journey, doing much better. It's been about it's been 3 years now, but what what that did for me, I
Wow.
mean, I was bedridden. I was, I still deal with some chronic pain, from nerve damage from the spine. But it limited my range of motion, and it also weakened my muscles on my left side. And so when all this happened, and Eric, shout out to him, and a few other directors that I had actually worked with throughout my recovery, because when people see something in you and they know your heart and they know your talent, they're willing to adjust. And again, what's for
Mm-hmm.
you is for you. I had auditions and projects that I had to turn down. I had auditions that wouldn't even take me because of my disability. Later on, as I was recovering, because for me, I love this work. I love acting. I love the arts. All things of the arts, which is what also I Am Cultured is about. And it was very
Mm-hmm.
therapeutic and a sense of normalcy to stay in what I love to do, because it gave me sense of purpose, because I couldn't understand, why I was
Amen.
involved in this accident that actually had this trickle down effect of what it just did to me in so many different ways in my life. That's a story for another time, another podcast. But in regards to
Right.
with the season, I said to Eric and even my castmates again, and shout out to them for their support, because they were like, well, what are you going to do? Like, are you going to take Laura off the show? What's going to happen? And Eric was like, no. I said, okay, well, do you want to make it as if I got into a car accident? Like, we can play this out. So, because I was in so much pain and it was hard for me to sometimes to even, to stay focused and be on
To stay
set. But
focused.
I knew about the opportunity that BET was coming. Like, I knew about it. And so it was like, dang, do I step away?
Mm-hmm.
And Eric was like, no, we're not. He gave me examples of other actors, who have had ailments or who have been pregnant, and, you didn't know, they didn't make it up, right?
Shoot, look at
Yes. Yeah.
um
Listen. Yes.
Boswick.
And this one, and when we speak about Chadwick, like
Okay.
that,
All
his
right.
his passing really broke my heart, because I know why he didn't share, and what may he rest in power. What he was experiencing doesn't even compare to what,
Mm-hmm.
I'm dealing with, is on two different completely levels at all. And he is greatly missed. And he is a staple that will forever be remembered and honored, in the work and the passion, in the art, and of who he was. Truly, a true king for real, our
It's
king
true.
for real. But I understand why he didn't share,
Mm-hmm.
because once you start speaking, because I experienced that, once I started walking in with the cane and walking with the limp, people were like, well, what's wrong with you? Are you capable of doing this? And Eric was like, Karmia, we're going to make it work. So whether you saw me in season 3 and I was sitting down, or if I was standing, but you only saw me from the waist up, people didn't know that I was hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Um, at all. They had no idea.
No,
And again,
no, we didn't.
and that is thanks to the support of my cast, support to thanks to Kamel, who when I had scenes with him, to Jamil, Kyle, to him, like to everybody, any scene that I had, just people were like, okay, give her a second. Okay, Carmen, you got this, you got this. Like, just super supportive, more than probably what they needed to do. But people wanted me there, and I wanted to be there, and I made sure of that. And Eric was like, no, we're gonna make this work. People we not right.
When
And
they
I
love you, they love
appreciated that,
you.
and we made
Like
it
this
work. So
is
yeah, so when I showed up to the premiere, it was like, wait a second. And people are looking at me and looking at the screen, and they're like, okay, what came first?
is
What
this the
is
same
Did you
person?
just get hurt? And I'm
Like,
like, actually, no. So yeah. So yep.
which made the whole thing even better. Like it was just kind of like that testimony of like working through my pain and not
Yeah.
showing like that I'm hurt, just doing it. And it was just kind of like, that's what's up. Like I
Thank
was like,
you.
yo,
Thank
that's a
you.
strong
That means
female
so
right there.
much. And then
She
yes,
is
because you, right?
yes.
Queen. Yes.
Girl.
Okay.
Girl, I was doing too much. You know how the
Oh
universe and
yes.
God
Mm.
want you to sit yourself down. So I was doing too much, fell down some stairs, broke and fractured my foot. And the whole time I'm like, yo,
Wow.
are you serious? Like, but the whole experience for me, because I've
Yeah.
never broken anything in my
Yeah.
life, I was like, um, I think this is spraying. And the next day, my brother was like, "Oh, you going to the emergency room?" And then when I went, I was there like, "It's not broken,
I
right?"
can
Because I
wiggle
could
my
wiggle my toes.
toes.
Like my toes,
Look.
I, I can stand on my
Oh my
foot,
gosh.
but I could wiggle my toes. Like with was it Bill or Charlie's
Yes.
Angels when it was like wiggle your big toe. So, girl, I
See,
was
I can
wiggling my
even
big.
wiggle
I
my
was like,
toes. Oh my
"It's not
gosh.
broken." And then,
Yeah. That's
oh,
crazy.
oh God, yo, that pain, breaking anything or it brought me to tears. Like I was like the first person I called was my mother. Like I was like, "Mom." She was like, "Oh, how you doing?" Like call it like just, and I couldn't do anything but start crying, and
Mhm.
she panicked. Like, what is you?
Oh my
I
gosh. The
fell down.
stairs. Ah.
Just- I'm I'm 30. I was 34 at the time because it happened in August. But I was just like, yo, I am a grown. My older sister was there, like, leave it up to you for your grown ass to fall down some stairs. I'm like, I was like, listen. But during the whole process, I was
Yeah.
so excited at the same time. Like I was there, like, do I get crunches? Do I get a cane? Like I mean, not a cane, cast. I brought a
I
pen just
love it.
in
Like,
case
listen,
somebody
if we're
needs to
gonna
sign
do
it. Like
this,
I
we
was just
gonna
like,
do this. Okay.
I was like, oh my God. And just,
Yeah.
I'm not the type of person that asks for help. I do things on my own for so long. So that taught me, I guess I had to break something because
Yeah.
that taught me to allow people to
That's
help
real.
me. My sister was like, I'll do that. I'm like, I still can
Yeah.
use my hands. Like I was just like, I need
Yeah.
to do something. I don't like being a burden. And I wanted to feel useful. Like, well, like you said, you wanted to still work and do stuff because
It does.
you, it plays with your
It
psyche when
does.
you're healing. And I was like, oh no, 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 let me do something. And that's when I was
Yes.
able to pour into my nonprofit. Like I was like doing interviews, setting up stuff. Like I was just
Right.
all they seen was my head on, through Zoom. So thank God for the pandemic. So everything was like online anyway.
That
So
was
it didn't
good.
really, so that's what happened. And I just was like, okay, I'm in a boot and I couldn't focus. So I was thinking and praying that, yeah, I'm healed and I'm acting
Yeah.
way healer than I was, right? Like I was just like, oh, let me sit my back, let me
Yes.
lay back down and
Rest.
elevate this foot because the pain that came, oh my God, I was just like, yo. And then, so
No,
you had a
mm-mm, no
cast? Did
cast.
you have a cast
Everything,
when you were?
no. And I was gonna say, I'm like everything that was internal. No, what my dealings are, it's herniations, it's nerve damage. I have lumbar radiculopathy, which creates sciatica, which comes to with. So I'm saying all these
My
things that
God.
hopefully anybody listening, like they're like, oh, I've heard that before. Piriformis syndrome, trochanteric bursitis of the hip, like those that was the outcome from the impact of the truck. um It was a side swipe and drag is what that tractor trailer did to me, but I didn't break anything, but
Oh
to
my
the
God.
which is why for me, like, and I'll say this, and this is not to minimize anybody's injury over anybody else's, but it's like you broke something, right? Like you had a cast. So it's kind of like I know where this
Mm-hmm.
pain is coming from. I know why this is happening because I broke something. It's very clear. I didn't break anything, and everything, it was all
Mm-hmm.
nerves, and herniations. I mean, herniations exist, and that does happen
Oh,
from accidents, but everything, nothing was broken, nothing was fractured.
mm-hmm.
It's all nerves. Like I said, I couldn't move my toes because it wasn't connecting, like that nerve, that signal from the brain down to like the toe, it shut off. My feet
Mm-hmm.
had gotten swollen. It was a lot of different things, yeah, that I experienced, that
Oh,
it made it
girl.
hard to process. Why am I all in all this pain? Why is my body starting to fold? Like, why am I not moving? Like, I can't ride a bicycle, like I can't roller skate, things that I love to do, I can't run. And it's all because of just the body is an incredible, it's an incredible thing and what it does.
Right.
But and what it doesn't do when it
and
needs
what
to
it
do what it
doesn't
needs
do
to do.
when it's not.
But yeah, everything that I'm dealing with is nothing to do with any fractures or anything broken. It's just, it's all nerves, nerve damage, from the impact. Yeah.
It would it look, and
Of
I thank you
course.
so much for reaching out and checking
Because
up
I
on me,
get
because I was
it.
just like,
Because I get it
Karmia
and I
is
understand. And when
checking
I
up
saw
on
that you
me.
were hurt, I'm like, all right, this queen is going to need extra love. Because again, like, I see what you do and how you pour into
Girl.
others, right? And so, and for what, and I don't know your backstory, and I don't know if when this
Mm-hmm.
happened, if, like you said, this was a way of saying you need to sit down, you need to take a break, because sometimes God has a way of sitting you still when you're not listening, when he tries to tell you the first time, and you're like, no, 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 I got to keep going. That whole like hustler's mentality, that whole I'll sleep when I die, that stuff that's old. Like, that ain't it. I've seen true form in the
Right.
last 3 years, that laying in my bed, not even being able to move, God delivering on his promise for things that he has set for me. So when I saw that you were hurt,
Okay.
and I'm like, oh my goodness,
All
I
right.
need to reach out and make sure that you're good and continue to check in, because I also know when you give yourself to so many people and people are used to that, when you now are isolated and when you're not as visible, right? Whether it's on social media or present outside, that you
Mm-hmm.
realize not everybody who was riding for you really riding for you, you know? And so, and the calls get a little
Right.
less because you can't go to brunch. You can't step outside, right? So if I can't go to brunch, that means you still don't
Right.
check on me. So I wanted to make sure, and that may not be your story, but I wanted to make sure that no matter what you were feeling, that you still felt the love and support and getting the healing vibes that you need, because I know that you are a sister that has things to do. And so, it's kind of like, this is a break, yes,
Thank
that
you.
maybe I need, but at the same time, it's like, but I got so much work
I
to do. And
did.
again, in the pain part of it, I know that can also be a hindrance in moving forward. So of course I had to check on you, of
Oh God.
course.
Girl. I was on that ibuprofen, and then they had to like up it because I was like, "What is it doing? It
I
ain't
feel
doing nothing.
everything.
I'm
Yeah.
still in pain." Um, and then my doctor was like, "You're gonna have to stop taking that
Yeah.
because it's gonna give you some ulcers and stuff." I'm like, "What? Oh God!" Like I was just like, "Let me just take this pain." But no, that was so true because me,
Okay.
I like to isolate myself a lot, but after the accident, I was like, wait, now I don't have an
Yeah.
option. Like I have to be isolated. Like it was just
Right.
like,
No, 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 no,
oh
no.
no, no, no. I want to go outside. I want to do this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I want to go meet people. Like let me go. But it was just taking that option away from me and then sitting. And I was just kind of
Yeah.
like in my head, like, so what can I do? I'm like, I know I can't do that, but what can I do? I can still be of use. And thank God
Yes.
for my podcast. I was still able to talk, right?
It does.
So I was there like, okay, everything happens for a reason. Podcast is still on, all right, and then pouring into my nonprofit and
Yeah.
building it up and rebranding and everything like that. And it was my 10th year, and I was ready to give it up. Like I was like, this is a
Wow.
lot of work. I'm not getting the quality volunteers that I was getting, and it just was like, uh, this year I'm going to be done with the organization. And the funny thing is, when I got the organization 10 years ago, I was like, I woke up and it was a dream. Like it was like a download from God. Like this is the organization you should think. So when I did it, I wasn't doing anything
Okay.
else. I gave up my job and I was just focused on that. And it was good. So now when I
Yeah.
broke my foot and I wasn't able to do anything else, it
Yeah.
started I started pouring back into that. And now we're
Mm.
like 20 plus people and the quality work and rebranding. So
Listen,
I'm there
God
like,
has a
so
way.
what
I
you trying to
promise
tell
you
me,
that
God?
He got a way of showing you, like you said, just when you were about to give up, like, should I still do this? It's not what I thought it was, or what I wanted to be, or what it once was. He will make it so, some way or another. And we may not,
Mm-hmm.
when it happens, you're kind of like, well, why did it have to happen this way? But you're protected, you're covered, and you see how everything kind of falls in line, and you're like, I see the
Mm-hmm.
doors opening. I see, that I have more time available. I see, and it's like all because of this time that was given. And that's the way I feel about this pandemic. It's something that
Mm-hmm.
for sure, like
Yes.
I hope that this does not continue, into the next year. And I know there's going to be a trickle in effect into 2021, and we need to get this in order, and people need to vote, and we need to figure this
Mm-hmm.
out and keep it pushing. And lives have been lost due to complications, with COVID. So it's been
A
a
lot.
very hard year. But I will say that there have been blessings within the pause that I hope, my hope is that people in their own personal lives, and I'm not speaking about people who have lost people, but even in the quiet times, even when people
Mm-hmm.
that were furloughed, the people being able to stay at home, even though that's been a transition within itself, whether you are home by yourself or you're a parent, or a couple. Like, it's just, I hope that people have been able to find like the silver lining and the blessings that have come out of this pandemic. Again, that whether it's allowing you to spend a little bit more time on your
Mm-hmm.
passion pursuits, maybe spending more time with your family, maybe thinking more about, like, listen, because somebody got furloughed, maybe that this 9 to 5 life isn't for me. You know what I mean? Like, there's just so many different things that I feel that this pandemic
Right.
brought out. Like, this is still the year of 2020 vision. It, absolutely.
Yes. The year of revelation, like it it just uncovered a lot of
Yes.
things that people were getting blinded by. Like it was
Yep.
like, this is
Let's
what
do
it
something
really
about it.
is.
Magnified
Let's do something
everything from
about
the
it. I
social
think.
injustice. I mean,
Mhm.
everything, the possibilities of people being able to work from home, like the racism,
Every-
like all these, listen, all of this.
Mhm. It's a beautiful year.
Yes.
It's like that beautiful disaster where everybody is like, "Oh my God, what's happening?" But it's like for anything to
Yeah.
get better, you're gonna have to
Yeah.
go through the
I,
storm. It's just gonna
yeah, and
have
that's
to
just
go
something
through
that I
that.
would say to
And
my kids. And I know it's so cliche and some may hate it, but it is. Sometimes things have to get worse before they get better. When you start applying pressure, like to
mhm,
anything, to bring it all to bodies, to bring it all out. You got to
shoot,
start.
to
It's like, oh,
bodies.
what's happening? I saw something on Instagram. This young girl was actually showing her acne journey, and her acne was pretty bad, but she's now taking this medication and doing what she needs to do. And she even said it, like, everything was coming out on her face throughout this process, and she knew it had to get worse before it got better. It had to bring out all of the ugly, all of the bacteria, all of, like, the guck, the nastiness that was
Mm-hmm.
inside had to come out as it's clearing and making anew. And I believe that it's like how is it that it works in that regard, but people don't see it how it's working for us overall. And that's what needs to happen. Right.
Because they don't want to go through it. People avoid it until it throws up. Like it's just kind of like the world is
Right.
like, we done had enough. Like the energies is just like, oh no, like you can't bottle this up no more. It's just gonna
Right.
explode. Then we're gonna clear this
Yeah.
air, and then you're gonna see that beautiful rainbow. And I think that it really works in everything. And when we start to, because both of our
Yes.
bodies were affected. I'm gonna just use this as a metaphor. When we start to, sometimes we take a lot of our body parts for granted, or as small as it is, like a bone or a nerve, we don't get it. We're like, oh, it's automatically working like this
Yeah.
until something happens to it, and then you see how important it is. Um, as a whole. And when thinking about the body and everything internally and how it works, it's like the community and the world, and how just by one thing being off or something affecting one person or a type of people, a group of people,
Mm,
it will disrupt the
that's good.
entire
Yeah.
world and how it functions. So I think when we start looking at that, and we're fortunate enough to go through body ailments and the healing process, because when you go through the healing process,
Mm-hmm.
you look at things differently. You're more appreciative of how the body works. You start to think, start to think
Absolutely.
about, okay, let me now
Absolutely.
love on my toes, and let me, so And then I think you mentioned something else about having like community. When you reached out to me and you was like, I get it. When I went to the hospital for like the cane and everything, I mean not the cane but the boot, I seen so many people in that hospital with broken injured, like with the boots and canes, and I was like,
Yeah.
this is I'm a part of this world. Like I was just like, oh my god, it
You're
just
not
felt
alone.
such
Yeah.
a relief to know that you're not alone. And it was comforting. And I just was like, so how do you walk? Oh, what happened to you? And it just
For
was a different
sure.
conversation when you go through certain things. So when you
Right.
reached out to me, I just was like, well, what happened to you? Like,
Right.
how did you heal? Did you finish healing? Like, it was just,
Of course.
and
People
people
won't
won't
know
know
unless
that
they
unless
go
they go
through
through
it.
that.
And
Like,
no,
you know,
absolutely.
yeah, people, and the people who don't know, they just look at you as defenseless and helpless. And it's just like, oh, you sure
Right.
you want to do that? And it's just like, no, I don't need that. I
Yeah.
need the people who can see me as still useful, that I can still do stuff. Um, and it's those are the people who like enable. There's other people who's just like in that whole fearful mind where it's like, I don't want
Right.
you to hurt yourself anymore. But it's like, look,
No, for real. No, and shout out to those people who are able
man.
to like see you and see, and that speaks to a lot of who you are as a person and your character, that despite any ailment, despite any pause, break, that happens because of an incident or whatever, that people still see you. They see the good in you, and because of what you are going through, what we deal with, and that's how I feel regarding the injury, your fall, my car accident, and with this pandemic, it's like people, my hope is that people just come out
Mm-hmm.
better. You come out stronger because you push through it. It hasn't been easy. The journey it hasn't been easy, but it is a testament to your strength, your
Mm-hmm.
resilience, your willpower, and just, and who you are as a person. And I commend everybody who has been pushing through 2020. I commend you for pushing through, your injury. I commend myself because it's not easy, for being able to push through, when it's unexpected.
Okay.
You falling was unexpected. That truck hitting me, unexpected.
Very.
2020, this pandemic, because I was on a cruise in January and I went to the Barclays Center for a basketball game in
Oh,
February. And then the next thing you know, March, it was like lockdown. So nobody knew. I mean, in 2021 already started off
exactly.
really rough, with Kobe Bryant's passing. Like, so it was already like, wait a second, whoa, what's happening? Shift. This doesn't feel right.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just went like, wow, the world,
The
the
world
world.
started stopped and was crying for
9,
Kobe.
yeah.
And it
All
was
of them.
just
May
like
they rest in
nine
peace.
people
My
at the
goodness.
same time.
Yeah.
How but right. And then it was just like, okay, I think the world was
Yeah.
preparing us for the massive deaths that was about to come. It
Right.
was like,
Well, and we had
oh,
and we had no
9 people? You
idea.
think
We
that's
had
a
no
lot?
idea what was to come because
Okay.
that hit hard.
And then
That hit hard. Hit hard.
it did.
But
It did.
but had no
I
idea
was
that just, 2 months
like,
later,
what?
that this would be what is now. And then outside of the pandemic, you have, with no, it's okay. The Black Lives Matter
I'm
movement
sorry.
having to go in full force because of,
Mm-hmm.
all of this, the police brutality and this racism and hate
Yeah.
and social injustice that's being, received by us, Black people, that it was just like, what is happening right now?
Mm-hmm.
So 2020, 2020, it has been a year for
It
sure.
was
So I attack on the mental health. I commend
an
everybody.
attack
Shout
on the
out to
mental
everybody,
health.
seriously, who was pushing through 2020 and taking it a day at a time. That's all we can
Yes.
do. Take it a day at a time. Do your best. Give yourself some grace. You know what I'm saying? For the fact that this is something that we've never experienced before. And yet here we are and we're doing our best. Like, no one can say, oh, well, I was in a pandemic before and this is how we handled it. No, like, my mama can't tell me how to get through this. You know what I mean? Right.
No,
And we all handle things
she's
differently.
right
And
there
some
with
people,
like
maybe a little bit better than others because of other experiences that they have. For me, my isolation has been since 2017. So when the pandemic happened, I was like, oh, we on lockdown? Okay. This is, yeah.
right. girl, I was like
I was like,
loving it. I was
okay.
like, oh no,
But,
don't come and see me. I'm good.
right. But, and although I was okay with the
I feel like,
isolation, because I had already gone through the waves of what that felt like to be isolated from people, it still did affect me in other ways in regards to like, okay, wow, now the
mm-hmm,
entire world is dealing with this. And, I am cultured. We're about travel. We're about connections and meeting with people. How are we going to travel if we can't go nowhere? You know what I mean?
right.
So it did hit me in other ways. And I know, like you said, it benefited you in ways, just as it benefited me in ways. I was able to do work, in other areas, because I was forced to now, everybody was forced to be in the house. So we can all get things done.
Mm-hmm. And it, right. And it just was like, it made things so much easier. Connecting with people so much easier because you didn't have to go out and speak to them. You could be like, okay, go on Zoom or go on live. We can just, do a FaceTime. It just made
So
things
much better.
so much better. Like as far as to connect with people, I was connected with people I didn't even
Yeah, it
know
did.
was possible. It cut out the middleman. Um, everything became informal. People were just trying to figure it out. Like, listen, you got the last roll of
I
tissue.
need
Like,
that last roll of tissue. Right.
but me,
Oh my gosh.
like, what's going on? Yo, this year was funny. I actually started watching back like bloopers from like newscasters working from home, and it just was like, yo,
Yeah.
the the way that the world had to shift or pivot, how
It's been
everybody's been
something
talking
else.
about, it just got, it's like, it, it is. It was something else, and it's something that I always will remember. And I'm trying to, what I'm saying, trying to take it all in. Like,
Yes.
um, I've gotten closer to people during this time, and
Yes.
I've also distanced myself from certain people. Um, but the quality
Yeah.
people I've started growing closer to, like you, um, like it just was like, I'm gonna come out, and of course
Thank
of course I Am Cultured
you.
put on this amazing event on Black Lives Matter mural on Fulton in Brooklyn. So I just was like, let me come out and
Thank you.
support, and it was really good. I ended up seeing one of my time friends. And I just was like, this is really good to do that and give people the platform to sell and get their stuff out there, um, is amazing. And again, like you're doing amazing. And then you had your cane
I
doing it.
know, I know.
I'm like,
It's
look
just,
at
I know.
there
And I'm
you go,
pushing, and
girl.
I'll be honest, my hope is that by 2021, which is what I've been doing during this time, is really to come out of this where there's no more cane, and I can get back to, moving without the support of it. But I know people were just, and that's the thing. People are just like, wow, Carmia, like you're doing all
Hmm.
this, and you have the cane, and it's like, I know, I do, and trust and believe. Like, I don't want it. I promise you, I
Hmm.
don't want it. But I appreciate the support that people do give in regards to like, wow, you're doing all of this, and you're not even 100% yourself. But I truly am. It is fulfilling, to see, just again, in giving back, and this from your nonprofit. This is why we do the work. It's fulfilling in what we're able to provide and give back, and how we're able to
Hmm.
serve in such a way. On the Black Lives Matter mural, I mean, this is a time that that mural may not be there come next year. At some point, across every area that has the Black Lives
Hmm.
Matter on the streets, like at some point that may be removed. We know, again, that our lives matter, and this was a declaration that was placed, for, I guess, others to know that too. Although we want more than just words on the street, we want change, effective change to take place, right? And laws, we need that to happen. But to
And the
be able to
laws.
be in that space during a time like this in 2020, during a pandemic, and bringing together Black led businesses, Black owned businesses, organizations, and seeing how the community just, again, like, it was a beautiful thing for me to see. And I saw how people were connecting and networking within each other, like, and that's what it's about, building each other up, spending our dollars within our own communities, like giving back. That's what we need to be doing more of. And so it was my
Hmm.
honor to be able to, again, celebrate just being outdoors safely with a mask on during this time, and having good music, good food by Black owned restaurants, and then having all these businesses and resources that people may not even know were available to them. I mean, you had somebody that was doing headshots for your LinkedIn, for your, you know, Facebook, social, whatever, your social media pages, headshots that are needed. They had somebody out there that was doing that, and tutoring services, professional development services. Yeah, like all of that. And then you have your clothing,
Oh
your
yes, I
apparel, you
connected with
know, your
her.
crystals, your sage, your, you had everything was just there, and it was Black owned, you know,
Okay.
led by women, men. Like it was, I was grateful to do it. You know, I got a lot of great feedback. And again, doing it during a time like this on the mural, you know, it was a little surreal. Like I walked out there before everybody had got out there, because we had to set up. And I'm walking along, and I've been out there before, but I've always been out there when people were out there. But to walk out there, and I'm walking on the street where it says Black Lives Matter, and I'm looking down at the letters, and I'm just like, I can't even believe that this is actually real. That that this is actually something that had to be plastered, you know, painted down on a street, or, you know what I mean, in 2020, that this is something that, of course, you know,
In
shout out to
2020.
the, you know, the mayor, you know, in DC, you know, when she did make the big move there, and, you know, changed the Black Lives Matter Plaza, like, you know, right there in front of the White House. Major, that's major. But I'm like, the fact that we even have to do this, it's like, it's sad, and we want more, right? Thank you for the acknowledgement.
It's
Again, we
sad.
know that our lives matter. We appreciate for you putting it out here. But I'm like, really, in 2020, I'm reading something that says Black Lives Matter when I know my life matters, but the fact that other people don't feel that it does. What is going on?
It's crazy. It's like the human
It is a
soul.
spiritual warfare.
It's a spiritual warfare. Definitely. Like doesn't make sense. And
Listen, all of
I'm
that.
gonna continue
Listen,
praying and
clear it out,
saging.
clear the
Okay,
air, pray,
because
take that time, meditate, you know, connect with God. Like I said, everything a day at a time. A day at a time. Give yourselves grace. We are really pushing through
right.
some times that I think, you know, things are moving in a direction of, because people are aware, and they are, when you talking about, if you had never been woke before, like the 11-year-old me in Australia and New Zealand, as one of two people of color, young people of color, right? To know what I know now, like growing up back then, you know, who knows? Like my mentality might have been a little bit different, because at that moment I just felt like, oh, this is cool. I'm just on a trip here, and you know, it's just me, and it's just another young lady right here, and we're the two, you know, people of color, and but not realizing that this is a problem. You know what I mean? Like this is a not just it was deeper than the fact of
Right.
just we
It
were
was
the, you know, we were
deeper.
on the trip. It's like there's a reason why it's just us two here. This system, like what is, like, just I had no idea. I had no idea. I mean, I didn't have any idea at 11 years old, but the fact that 11-year-old children today have a better understanding. It's sad.
And which is sad because it's kind of like you want to live your life as a kid. You're just kind of like, oh, we're gonna play in the park. I'm gonna do this, and the 11-year-old kids now, they're like, well, this person is racist, and it's
They
like
should.
they should
I
not
know.
be
I know.
exposed to that. But I mean, this is reality. Um, you know what I'm saying? To As an adult, we're like, people don't like us because of our color,
Because
and now as a kid,
we
you're
are
like,
a threat,
because I'm
and
black,
that's
like
just,
now,
listen, that's just what it is.
so
That's just, I mean, that's just what it
hmm
is. And that's the
bullies
thing
only pick
about
on
it. You know,
people who
I've
they,
had people come to me and say, like, you know,
they
Carmia, well,
jealous
why
of
don't
or
you have
something.
I Am Cultured be about, you know, make it inclusive, like invite everybody, like have the, you know, have Caucasians, have everybody travel with you. And I'm like, I'm not against that, because I don't hate people, right? I'm not, I wasn't raised to be that way. Thanks to my travels, thanks to my parents,
Hmm.
my upbringing. I love all people. I do, except for racist people. But, you know, the fact of the matter is that I want this for us,
Hmm.
because it's important that our young people in a society that clearly is showing us more so today, that is not made to support us, that we create what's necessary to support our own, right? To build up our own, so that no matter what, if we are out there working in a corporate white America, that you can say, I'm well educated, I'm well traveled, I'm well diverse, I'm just as fit for this job, right? Even if you may not see it as such, I see it as such because of my upbringing, because of my experiences. So I want to be able, just like what you're doing, to be able to give that to these young people, because their confidence, sometimes you get those hits and you're like, dang, well, maybe I wasn't fit for it because society's telling me that I'm not. I'm seeing what's happening on the news. I'm hearing what's going on. Maybe I'm not the right fit for this. And it's like, no, we're going to give you all the tools that you need as best as we can. Right. And all mentorship and all nonprofits that are doing the great work that they're doing. Shout
Right.
out to our teachers, the educators, shout out to everybody that's pouring into these young people, because it is important that, they do grow up with this confidence that in a society or in a world that's saying this is, we're against you, that they feel that they have what it takes to be just as great. And if we can't get it from you, we're going to create it ourselves. And that's just what it is. And that is just what it is. And that's what I'm
Right.
hoping is happening with the
Exactly.
young people that we are impacting right now. If they see that later on in life, okay, you're not going to give it to me? No problem. I got all I need to create it myself. Thank you very much. Or I'm going to take what I can get from you, and then I'm going to create it myself when I give you my resignation letter, or when you try to fire me. I'm going to create it myself. Thank you very much.
Exactly. Cause that's the best thing. That's go to the job, learn everything.
Yep.
And if they,
Yep.
and then what they're doing wrong, and what they're doing right, and you can improve on
Yep.
that and create a organization or a project that is
Making more
similar,
of an impact. Like you
but
said, see what's
is
working, what's
making
not working.
more of an
Yep. I
impact.
love it.
It's not
I love it.
because a lot of people are like, oh, I hate this
Yes.
job. No,
Learn
you're there
from
for
it.
a
Learn
reason.
from it. Build. Take what
Learn
you can
from it.
get from it and move on to the
Build.
next. Like, God is so intentional in everything that he does. He is so intentional. He really is. And I know it's hard in the moment when you're there because it doesn't feel right. And you got this thing brewing inside of you. Like, I know that I want more. God, you know that this isn't it. I am miserable, but there's a reason for why you are there. Take what you can from it. Learn from it. Start, if any, like I always tell people, and it's easier said than done, because sometimes it may not be, let's say, the resignation that may come your way, or you getting fired. Like, you may find yourself at a job or in a position for a couple of years and you're like, why am I still here? But you have to pay attention to also how you use your time. I do believe that rest is important. So I'm not here at all trying to say, like, rest is for the weak and you sleep when you're dead. None of that. But my whole thing has always been, if you want your Monday to change, you got to do something different every single day, even if it's just an hour or 30 minutes, to manifest that change that you want. If you want your money to change, you know what I'm saying? If you're not trying to go back to that corporate job because you're trying to, be big time in this area or whatever, and that passion pursuit is, you have to devote. I know you're tired. I know your day was long. I know you have many things on your plate, but you got to devote some 30. You got to put the seeds, lay them down. You got to work for the harvest to happen. But if you never plant the seeds,
Yep.
it ain't never going to blossom at all. You know what I mean? So that's what I always try to. That's
What
like my
you
go-to.
finna get?
If you want your Monday to change, just 15 minutes a day, 30 minutes a day, or if you spend like your whole Friday, because you do need to rest. People need to rest. And I feel like there's that self-care piece. They're like, well, I had such a long week. I deserve to go to the happy hours and hang out or binge watch Netflix, and this is before COVID, but even now. And I'm
Go
like,
to
yes, do all
sleep.
of that. You need to decompress. Absolutely. But if you want your Monday to change, don't spend your whole weekend just binge watching Netflix. You better put some of that time into that passion pursuit, or your money's going to be the exact same every Monday to come. That's all. Exactly.
Start reading books, start listening to podcasts, start going out there, sitting down with people, supporting people. Like, when I went to
Yes.
the community fest that you created, I was like, let me just go and, support. And I didn't know I was going to meet a connect.
Charlene.
Like,
Yeah.
I met
Right Start
Charlene from
Tutoring. Shout out to her.
the tutoring services. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, we hit it off really quick, and we end up
Oh,
working on
okay.
something for Halloween for the
That's what
kids.
it's
Like,
about. That's what
so
it's about.
like, yeah, like she worked, girl, we done got like donation from the senator's office
I
for,
love it.
creating like a Halloween event to give out candy and stuff like that, like a safe space. So I was just like, look, if I didn't go, I wouldn't have made that connection, and I wouldn't have been able to connect back with you. And like it just was like,
Everything happens for a
and
reason.
I don't know, like everything happens for a
Yep.
reason, and God's time, divine timing. So I like even this conversation,
I
like,
think so
girl,
too.
I think we dropped a lot of gems,
I
and I
hope we
think this
did.
was why
Okay.
we spoke about every. We did, we definitely did. We spoke about so many different things that somebody will take away from it, and because this is beauty and braids, I
Yes.
don't want to just not talk about this because you are rocking braids, and during this time of being, healing, your healing process, and even doing so
I
much, like
love them.
how much has braids been
They have been so easy. I love
a
my
help for
knotless
you?
braids, waist length braids. Shout out to my braider, who is Simply Jeannie. Um, they have been so easy and light, and just, I mean, just, and they work. They're versatile in regards to just put it in a bun. I was actually speaking to Charlene the other day, and I sent her a picture of me. I was in treatment, and she's like, "What are you doing?" I sent her a picture of where I was, and I had my hair in a bun. She's like, "Oh, new hairstyle." And I was like, "Girl, it's the same hairstyle, but it is, it was still the same braids, but I had them up in a bun, pull them in a ponytail to the side. Like, it's just they're the easiest thing, and especially right now when I didn't
Mm-hmm.
want to spend a lot of money, because I'm not really going anywhere. I'm in the house because of this pandemic. So, I am natural. My hair is, I don't have any, I mean, besides the color that I have in my hair, no chemical outside of the color. So,
No
my hair,
chemicals.
listen, I run from the rain because it will get curly and frizzy. But I embrace that now, which I couldn't embrace when I was a child. I've always been natural. I've always had the press and curl, but now we got products for that. Shout out to Evolution. But
Mm.
but to your point in what you're saying, they're so simple, and they're easy, and they're beautiful, and it just speaks to just who we are as Black people and our culture. And I love my braids. I rock braids, faux locks, but right now I have my
Mm.
knotless braids, and I'm actually getting ready to take them out just to give my hair a little bit of a break, but I'm putting them right back in. Right back in, because I need to trim
Mm.
my hair, because this is what happens. Let me tell you, Karen, what happens is that I'll keep my braids in for about 6 to 8 weeks, right? Because again, I'm not going anywhere. Nobody sees me. I'm in the house. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
And then I take my braids out, and I'm like, "Ooh, I got length. Check me out." And then my stylist cuts all my length off because I got split ends. So I told her, "You're not doing that this time. I'm going to make sure that I treat my
Right.
hair." And I take these braids out in enough time where you can save my length and, give my hair a little break, and then we'll put the braids right back in. So how about you? I know you love braids.
Mm.
Obviously, this is your platform. So tell me.
Yes. Well, I love braids, especially during this whole time
Yes. Oh,
where the
so
pandemic
easy.
and then the healing. Everybody trying to do it all the time. It's just
Yeah.
like put it up. Plus, you got to lay down. So if you
Bedhead.
ridden, like you have to lay down, no bed head. So braids
Yes.
were like everything. Well, I'm a braider, so so I'm like licensed and everything like that. And I just wanted to focus more on braids because the chemicals is what's killing our hair, and I believe our hair
Yeah.
it, is kind of like nerves, like the nerve endings, messages. Our hair is like that to the universe, right? So it's like how we communicate
Yeah.
with everybody around us. It sends it through our hairs, our strand. So that's why I focus more on braiding and
It's strong.
teaching people how to take care of their hair so that their hair is strong.
Yes.
Um, but I love braids. I love getting their
Oh,
super long. I do not like getting short braids
so
because I'm like, what's the
long.
point? You know
Yeah.
what I'm
Oh my gosh.
saying? I'm like, go long so you can do a
Listen,
ponytail,
they're beautiful. Yeah, the
split,
longer the
smack a
better. I
person
mean, I
if
know
you
that.
need
I
to.
know, like right now,
Um,
sometimes because like the ones down at the like the bottom, like around the kitchen area, because they're growing so long. I find myself like sometimes I'm sitting, I'm like, oh gosh, because it's so, but because I'm sitting on my braids, and my back, and sometimes it catches me. But I love long braids. I do, and I feel like you can do so much more with them. And I know that people like what they'll start to do is I don't think with the knotless braids or with braids, but I know people I've seen with faux locks, like they'll start to like they'll cut their hair, like they make it shorter. I don't know if you can do that with braids, right? Because they'll unravel, right?
So if you dipped it in hot
Oh,
water, like boiling water, it should seal. So over time, you can cut it. If it's super big, then it might just unravel a little bit. But the
got
small
it.
ones,
Okay.
you can cut it, but it's
Okay.
not, it's going to be those blunt cuts. It's not going to be right. So you want to even it out and make it shorter. Yeah. But as it grows longer, definitely the kitchen area and the edges is going to
Give me
pull
a lesson
because of
right now.
the weight from the growth. Um, so definitely when it does grow out, I would
Yes.
say do the
Perimeter.
you know what I'm saying? Perimeter. There you go. Perimeter over just so it does not pull down on your hair. But yeah,
Yes.
or you can always take it out, put a headband, you know what I'm saying? Or do a crown braid, but it has to be up. A lot of people pull too tight, and
Gotcha.
that
Yeah, I don't want
causes
that. You
like
see me? I don't
traction
want that.
alopecia over time. You know what I'm saying?
I don't. I try my best. I have my castor oil.
No, we
I do
don't.
that.
But,
I do that, which is why now I have to take these braids out because I was trying to keep my hair fresh, and then as soon as I started putting in the oil, all of a sudden, like I started to see some more rapid hair growth, and now I'm like, oh no, like I don't want it to grow. No, 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 no. Slow down, slow down, slow down, slow down. Right?
right,
Slow
like I
down.
don't
Because
want
I'm
it to
like, well, now
grow.
I gotta now put the edge control on and it's looking fuzzy. So yeah, I'm gonna take these out, give my hair a little bit of a break, but they're going right back in December. So I
I hear that, and I think
mm-hmm.
depending on what's going on with this COVID situation, they're closing down a lot of the
Yes.
services
That
again, like
part.
non-essential workers. So, like yeah, like I'm like, what is going on? My friend just put up a post like she had to close down her salon. She's in one of
Oh.
the area codes that spiked, so she's forced to close. So
Right.
I'm just like, oh. Okay, what is everybody going to
I
do
haven't even
if
gotten my
we go
nails
through
done
another
yet. Like
lockdown
I just gave
and
in getting my
you know
eyebrows done because I wasn't even going to do that. But then I was like, okay, Carmen, you're actually going out, so you gotta,
hmm
when you go out for like outdoor dining, so maybe you should get your eyebrows touched up a bit. But I refuse. I mean, other people have, but I'm not getting my nails done. Like, cause I am a gel person. I do gel. And so I'm like, why am I going to do that in the event, number
uh
one, when that lockdown happened and I had on them red nails, the red gel, I was like, oh my gosh, like, how do I get these off? Like once they started growing out, I'm like, oh, this is for real. Oh, I really can't get my nails done. I looked crazy. And I had to get the acetone and I'm doing it like how they do it. I had the cotton balls and then the foil and then like the sheet. Oh, and listen, I was Googling
I
like how
did
do
you have
my
the
people
foil
do it? Okay,
paper?
okay, okay. Like legit and it's scraping it off. Karen, it was so bad because I'm like, because I had my hair was
Oh
done. So I had a photo
no.
shoot. My hair was
Yeah.
done. I had big curly hair. I had red nails. I was ready for this photo shoot that ended up getting canceled because of COVID. Spent all this money and then my hair
Oh God.
my hair started looking crazy because I didn't get it. I washed it eventually over time, but my nails looked crazy. And then as soon as I was able to get my hair done and step outside, which wasn't until July, I did everything I needed to do, but I refused to go back to the nail salon. I'm gonna wait on that because I actually like what my nails are doing. And if they're growing healthier, and if they close down again, I don't want that
Right.
problem.
It's
So,
growing
have you gotten
healthier,
your nails
right?
done? Okay. My feet too. Same,
No,
same.
I haven't.
I'm
Neither
like
did my
Jersey
feet.
Mama.
Okay,
Same.
because my feet looking crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, and I've been doing my own nails. So yeah, it's healthy and strong. With braiding, I wasn't able to get my nails done regularly anyway because it would snag. Like the hair would snag, and I'd be like, you know what, what's the point?
Mhm.
But now I get to see my nails grow long. You know, as a braider, I always cut it short. So I'm like, oh, look at this. I'm gonna get used to this. But my toes, girl, no. I'm like, I think I might have to do
You're
that. Like
like,
my
it's
toes is
okay. Listen, it's
really
winter time,
bothering me.
so it's about to be winter. Don't worry about it. Do your own toes. We about to be in this house again. Well, I mean, let me not call that. We not gonna be in this house, but in case we are in the house, well, that part, right? And I'm not. I don't do
Right.
indoor dining. I only do outdoor
Well, it's getting
dining.
cold.
So, and I know that they're bringing out like the heating lamps, and that's great and all, but
Mm-hmm.
the fact, like today, it's raining right now. So,
Mm-hmm.
who's going outside to eat in the rain? Not me. Some people they're
Mm-hmm.
gonna be like, listen, we have plans, okay?
Some people will. It's just so weird. People be like, I'm gonna go outside. It's like you don't want to stay inside. I think it's just the option of not
That's what
being
it
able to
is. And that's what it
go
is, which is why
outside
I
that
always
people
say this
really
too, that
do
we were
want to
very
go outside.
fortunate that COVID started. When it happened, it was going into the warmer season. When daylight savings time was happening, our days were going to get longer. We would have more, more sunlight.
Mm-hmm.
This is when people are active. They're going bike riding and taking walks. We had that to help us with our mental health during a time that we did not know what was going on. So we got through that. Now it's like, dear God, help us truly. And I mean this, to get through when now the days are getting shorter because it gets darker earlier with daylight savings time coming up. And it's going to be colder. Again, people can still go out for their walks, but when we get to
Mm-hmm.
wintertime, please don't let it snow. You know what I mean? Like, I know that it's going to be a different dynamic to
Right.
experience COVID when it's freezing cold outside. Like right now, we've been very
Yeah.
in October. We're still getting 60 and 70-degree weather. Thank you, God,
Yeah.
for that. Thank you. But when we get into November, like let's see how long these I'll take 60s into November. When we get into December, January, February, like what is that going to look like when we are looking at 30 and below? And
Yeah.
we can't go outside. I mean, you may go outside for a brisk walk, but you may
And we
not
can't go outside and we
because
stuck.
it's freezing. Now, when I see my breath, I'm in the house.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Cancel that.
I'd be like, oh no, cancel. Can't. Oh, that's what
Cancel.
COVID has taught me how to do this
Say no
year.
and cancel.
Cancel
Say
things.
no and cancel.
Say no and
The
cancel.
power of no.
Because I never was doing that. I was never doing that. I was like, all right, yeah, definitely make it. Mm-hmm. Knowing down, I don't want to go. But like
Yeah.
when COVID happened, I was like, hey guys, I'm gonna have to cancel. Can't do no clients. Mm-mm. When
Power of
my
no.
foot
Yeah, it did.
fractured, I
It
was there
allowed.
like, hey
I
guys, I'm gonna
mean,
have to refund
truly,
y'all.
it's
I
like, nope,
cannot.
can't make it.
Mm-mm.
Sorry.
Like there's nothing I can do. I'm sorry.
Oh
And it just
no,
was like,
Karen.
am I really sorry? I'm just kind of like,
Of course, of course.
no, like, no, it was just kind of like overwhelmed. Like when you overwhelmed with stuff and it's just like, oh my God, I'll take
Absolutely. No, it's a
this,
blessing.
you know, I'll take this broken, this injury
But
and be like, yo, you
listen,
know what?
the tongue is
I
powerful.
probably
You
asked
never
for this
know.
without
It's
realizing it. Like,
manifest, and again, this is not to say as far as any hurt or harm on
it
people,
is.
but sometimes when you're like, I need a break, or I need to be able to just be able to sit down for a second, or I'm always constantly having to show up for folks, and that sometimes things happen in life that then it's like tables have turned. Now you get to rest. Now you get to see who shows up for you. Now you have no choice but to say no. You have to say no. You know what I mean? And you realize and what your body is doing, and it's restoring and it's
Right.
rehealing and it's rejuvenating, mind, body, spirit, all of that. It's necessary. It is necessary. We're not going to do it ourselves. Sometimes it has to be done for us,
It
you know?
is.
And we pray. Yeah.
And it's never a nice way. It's like, okay. But it's like, you know what? I'm telling you, if you interview any of my my physical
Oh yeah.
therapists, my doctors and stuff like that, they'll be like, I think she's insane. Like she really did the whole process. They're like, oh my God, okay, great.
That's too
Like,
funny.
do I get
That's
okay, ankle brace this time? All right, let's see how
too
like it's just
funny.
kind of like I am enjoying the
I still am
process.
in physical therapy. Yes, I
So
am.
but
Still in
you're
physical
in physical therapy,
therapy.
right?
I'm doing physical therapy. I'm doing something called vaccine
Um,
treatment for spinal decompression, and I'm actually back in acupuncture now. So I'm doing everything. I'm telling you, I'm trying to come out of this thing because it's been a lot. It has been a lot. That's what people don't know about me. You know, if you look on
you
social media,
will.
you would not see in the beginning of what I was dealing with. You know, I had my cane. It was more visible, and then I just stopped really posting at all because I was like, this is just too much. I'm in too much pain mentally. I just couldn't take it, and I didn't want to show up and pretend on social media for people. So I just fell back from that because social media actually
Mm-hmm.
evolved between 2017 and 2019 of when, you know, with my accident. Like, it's not what it was. Social media used to just be, you know, you can put up your pictures about whatever you wanted, right? There was no strategy behind it. Now it's all about branding, and some people care
Mm-hmm.
about that and some people don't. Some people still be like, you going to get these regular pictures, but a lot of people are very strategic in how they post now, and that all happened during that time. So I didn't have the willpower mentally to even think about strategy
Mm-hmm.
posting. What? I'm trying to get better. So I stopped, you know, I didn't post at all for a while, even with the cane, because I didn't want to continue to put that image out there, even though some would say, but Carmi, it's a part of your journey. I just would rather not. This is a part of my life that, although I'm not saying that I'm
Mm-hmm.
not proud of. It is a part. It's made me who I am in so many different ways. It's expanded me, but it's not something that I want to go back and necessarily remember because of all that I've experienced throughout it. So a few pictures here and there are fine, but not every single photo.
It was
So
traumatic.
people will go on my Instagram now. They'll be like, "She's hurt. How you don't look hurt here?" It's like, yeah, I'm standing, or you know, or if you notice, if you look every single picture that I post, even down to like my makeup and breakup, the BET premiere, I'm always, and I'm giving like a little tit, I'm always leaning, and my left foot is always slightly like
Leaning.
it's slightly elevated, it's
Mm-hmm.
bent, and and my body is shifting, the weight is shifted to the right side. Every single picture, you will never see me standing like with both feet equally like the same in weight. It's always more weight to the right side, and my left leg is not straight.
Mm.
So, but people don't pay attention to that. But that is my way of standing because it hurts. Yeah.
No, I get it. I totally get it. Well, like
No.
I wasn't posting no pictures because I was like, I just look like crap. And then one day I just was like I went to the doctor and I had on these army fatigue pants and I had my hat and I forgot what I had on, but I had to post the picture of like just my foot
Right.
in the
Uh-huh.
stories and people was like, oh shoot, you all fashionable with it. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like fashionable with my boot and the crutches. Like, and then I started looking, I was there like,
Mm-hmm.
you know what? Let me start looking apart. Like, and then I just started taking pictures, putting myself together, and then showing that even though you have like this
Absolutely.
fracture or you have a boot on, you could
Absolutely.
still look good. You just don't give up on yourself. And that was my way of healing, So, and then people were just like, all right, you ain't playing. I'm there like, nope, I'm not. I'm going to take pictures.
Well, that's
I'm
the
stuck in my
truth.
house. I'm going to take
There you
pictures and I'm
go.
going to
And
look
that's,
good and
yeah,
I'm going to
because I
match
have
this
my
boot with
African
every outfit.
cane,
Like,
you know, and I have my regular cane, and people are like, oh, you styling. So when I come
so,
out, black tie affairs, you know, even for my gala, I have my African staff, you know, as a part of my resilience, I would
mm-hmm.
say. So if you're gonna do it, we're gonna do it. You know what I mean? Until we don't have to depend on it, do it anymore. Yeah.
Do exactly.
It's gonna
That's the
be
whole point. It's like, I don't want this, but if it's going to be here, it's going to be an accessory. It's going
not
to
gonna
be
stop my
accessory.
fly
We
at
ain't about
all.
to, you ain't going to stop my fly. No.
I know it's about to be
Mm-mm.
2 hours.
But yo, thank you so much, Carmia. We've been on the phone
I love it.
which is so good because we touched on so much. hair,
Yes.
nonprofit, I
Yes.
acting, all of that stuff. So I'm gonna ask you this one thing. What is something that you live by, your
Well, you know what?
motto,
It's
and what can you
actually
share,
in
how you can
my
share that with
bio, so I
our
can't take
listeners?
credit for this because these are words of William Shakespeare. But to thine own self be true. I live by that. I think that in a world where, even now more so, in a time where it's like people are battling with what's like the social norms of what's in, what's trendy, it's really about your purpose, your placement here in life, being true to who that is and who you are, and not paying attention to what anybody else feels, thinks, or says about who you are, who you want to be, what you want to go after. Um, because I think that in my upbringing, again, like I said, I'm a Renaissance woman, and so I am a clinician, I'm a therapist, I'm an actress, I am a business owner. These are all things that make me who I am. And I think back in the day when you might have said, well, what do you want to be when you grow up, I had to say one thing, which was, oh, I just want to be an actress. And maybe that may or may not have been enough, right, for society or for my family, because anything in the arts is always a risk. If I said I'm just going to be a clinician, I'm going to go off and become a doctor, that might have been more acceptable, right? Because it's like, oh, you're going to be a doctor. That's what's suitable. That guaranteed success. We're learning in these times that, listen, success is really about just what makes you happy, and what makes you happy is you staying true to yourself and doing what you love. So if you love being a bartender and making good money as that, it don't matter. Do that, right? If you have a love for it's just, and I don't want to get on a tangent of it. I'm just saying in regards to just be who you are, to thine own self be true. Um, it's the most powerful thing. I think that in a world that things can be
Yeah.
thrown at you, when you may have an idea of what you think you want to do, and then life like kind of takes you off course. But as long as you stay true to that, you always get right back on. Or the route just may change on how you get there, but you're still going in the right direction. But you have to just know who it is that you want to be and stay true to that. So that's my, I guess in short, it would be to the people, just stay on track, stay focused, to thine own self be true, by the William Shakespeare. And that's truly what success is all about. That's what happiness is equated to. So true happiness. Yes.
Yeah. Well, yes, true happiness. Thank you so much. That was really good because we can
Everybody else
only
is
be
spoken. That's
ourselves.
good. I'm gonna write
Everybody
that
else is
down too.
taken. So we're just gonna,
I know someone has
yeah,
said that before, but
yeah.
that's good.
I think I heard that somewhere, but it just fit. hmm It just fit with what was your motto, what you quoted. So thank you so much for y'all listening. I know I mentioned Karmia Berry's information earlier.
Mm.
If you missed that, you can follow her on Instagram at Karmia Berry, KarmiaBerry, and you can follow her nonprofit at
Yep. Yep.
I am
Yeah, there's
cultured
websites for both at
INC.
iamcultured.org and karmiaberry.com.
Yeah,
So link with me. Let's connect. Let's build. Let's work. Let's support one another. Thank you so much, Queen, for having me. Um, long overdue. And even this week, but it was worth it. And the
you're
time and the
welcome.
energy, it's much appreciated. So
Very,
thank you.
but you're welcome, and thank you for allowing me to tap into your spirit and your psyche and everything because this was amazing. This was definitely the right time
No,
for it.
it's been good.
So I'm gonna let you go because I'm taking up so much of your time. So
Yes,
everybody,
thank
thank you
you.
so much for listening. Cormia, again, bless your heart, much success, and continue
No,
healing.
like, and
Um,
legit
I'm
feeling
looking
and
forward
being good,
to
not just
the
for
pictures of no cane
right, for the
and
sake of posting. Right. I want to run. Yes, that will be
Right.
it. When y'all see me running and riding a
Running.
bicycle and roller skating,
Like I
that's
want to see
our
you running.
biggest thing. When y'all see me back in Trinidad at Carnival,
Oh,
that's how y'all know. Oh, she back, baby. She back for sure. She back.
oh.
So thank you so much.
Uh, you're welcome. Thank you. Have a good one, everybody. It's your girl, Karen,
Bye.
and it's your new favorite. Thank you again for listening to Beauty and Braids. I'm your girl, Karen, and this has been another great day. Until next time, you'll hear from me then. In the meantime, please follow me on at Hair by Karen, at Shop Braid Appeal, and at YTC Nonprofit. Get to know me a little bit better. Check them out. Bye.